Hi there, this is Mrs. Meek. Today we are going to talk about cellular respiration. All right, before we get into the details of cellular respiration, I just want to remind you, food is important because food provides living things with chemical building blocks that we need to grow and reproduce. Food also serves as a source of energy. All right, so we get our raw materials, our amino acids that your body uses to make proteins, our glucose molecules that your body uses to make carbohydrates, our triglycerides that we use to make lipids. All right, we get all of the building blocks from food that is digested in our bodies. There is a relationship between photosynthesis and respiration. It's basically two sides of a coin where we recycle all the chemical elements that are essential to life. Photosynthesis converts light energy from the sun into chemical energy, which is stored in carbohydrates and other organic compounds. Photosynthesis, all right, so that's what's occurring up here in the chloroplast, generates glucose and oxygen. Those molecules are used by the mitochondria as fuel for cellular respiration. Cellular respiration breaks down glucose into simpler substances and releases the stored energy. All right, so we get some ATP and we get some of that energy as heat. The waste products of cellular respiration are carbon dioxide and water, and these are the raw materials for photosynthesis. So this cycle just keeps going back and forth between photosynthesis and cellular respiration. Please make sure you understand that only plants are able to carry out photosynthesis, so plants and some bacteria that have chloroplast. But all living things carry out cellular respiration, including plants and animals. Cellular respiration is the process that releases energy by breaking down glucose and other food molecules in the presence of oxygen. So it's the process of converting glucose to ATP. Please make sure you write down this balanced equation for cellular respiration. So we start off with glucose, which is C6H12O6, plus 6 oxygen molecules. It's going to yield 6 carbon dioxide molecules, 6 water molecules, and 38 ATP. There's a lot of energy stored in a molecule of glucose. This energy must be released in small, controlled steps. All right, we don't want to release it all at once because if that happens, a lot of it would be lost as heat and light. It wouldn't be in a form that your body can use. So the energy stored in glucose will be released bit by bit, and this energy will be used to produce ATP, which is what your cells need. All right, so if energy was released from food all at once, it would be the equivalent to a tank of gas in your car exploding, all right, which isn't very helpful, all right? So in your engine, combustion occurs in small little steps that powers the engine, which powers your car. If the entire gas tank explodes, all right, all that heat and light is gone in one instantaneous event. All right, there are two types of respiration: aerobic respiration, which requires oxygen, and anaerobic respiration, which does not require oxygen. We're going to first talk about aerobic respiration. All right, so aerobic respiration is harvesting the energy stored in food. All right, occurs by breaking down food to produce ATP. This takes place in the organelle, the mitochondria, all right, where we use oxygen and glucose, and we break it down into carbon dioxide and water. All right, so once again, here's the formula for cellular respiration. There are 3 stages of cellular respiration. Stage 1, glycolysis. Notice it says this is anaerobic. This step occurs whether oxygen is present or not. The other 2 steps of respiration require oxygen, so they're called the aerobic parts of cellular respiration. So we've got the Krebs cycle and the electron transport chain. You need to know the name of the 3 steps, but not all the details. All right, mitochondria, remember, are in all animal and plant cells. All right, so mitochondria are present in plant cells as well as the chloroplasts. All right, so the 3 stages of cellular respiration. Glycolysis occurs outside of the mitochondria and it produces 2 ATP. All right, Krebs cycle occurs inside the mitochondria, also producing 2 ATP. The electron transport chain occurs in the mitochondria, and this is where we get a whopping 34 molecules of ATP. So overall, our bodies make 38 molecules of ATP from 1 glucose molecule. All right, just to review, glycolysis, 2 ATP. Krebs cycle, 2 ATP. Electron transport chain, this is where we make big money. We make 34 molecules of ATP. So aerobic cellular respiration takes 1 molecule of glucose and produces 38 molecules of ATP for your cells. All right, now, if there's no oxygen present, then your body must undergo anaerobic respiration. All right, anaerobic pathways are not very efficient. When your body undergoes an anaerobic respiration, it's only going to make 2 ATP per molecule of glucose, which is not very much. All right, anaerobic respiration is also known as fermentation. There are 2 main types. There's alcoholic fermentation and lactic acid fermentation. Alcoholic fermentation occurs mostly by yeast. They convert glucose into alcohol and carbon dioxide when they run out of oxygen. So yeast are used to make bread, alcohol, beer, wine. All right, so they provide valuable resources. All right, but notice how small yeast are. Yeast are really small single-celled organisms. They don't need a lot of energy. So 2 ATP is sufficient to keep them running. However, fermentation is not a good process and we cannot sustain ourselves by fermentation. All right, we do undergo lactic acid fermentation and when our cells run out of oxygen. So there are times when glucose is converted into lactic acid by your muscle cells when there's a shortage of oxygen. All right, so when you've ever been working out, doing strenuous exercise, and you feel a burning sensation in your muscles, that's because your muscle cells are using oxygen faster than they are getting oxygen. All right, so they're going to switch over to lactic acid fermentation temporarily until they get reoxygenated. All right, so that's why you work out, you pump out some reps until you feel that burn, and then you have to rest and get ready for your next set. All right, that rest period is allowing your cells to get reoxygenated. All right, so you can you can work out and get to that feel to burn stage again. All right, if you undergo lactic acid fermentation for an extended period of time, you will experience severe cramps. All right, and this is the muscle's inability to contract because there's not enough oxygen available. Once oxygen returns to the muscles, aerobic respiration will resume and you're going to be fine. All right, there are some organisms though that only undergo lactic acid fermentation, typically small organisms like bacteria. And we use these organisms in order to make some food products: cheese, yogurt, buttermilk, sour cream, pickles, sauerkraut. All of those food products are created using bacteria and their ability to ferment. All right, comparing photosynthesis and respiration. So please make sure you put this table in your notes. So photosynthesis is used to capture energy, whereas respiration releases energy. Photosynthesis occurs in the chloroplast, respiration, and the mitochondria. The reactants of photosynthesis are carbon dioxide and water, whereas the reactants of respiration are glucose and oxygen. The products are the reverse. So the products of photosynthesis are the reactants of respiration and vice versa. So the products of photosynthesis are glucose and oxygen. The products of respiration are carbon dioxide and water. All right, once again, please make sure you put these equations into your notes. You've got those and you learn them. Thank you guys. I hope you have a great rest of your week. Take care.